Hi there! My name is Yumi Tsuchinoko, and today I'm putting on my cute little snake halo so I can talk about Blue Archive. So, as you know from my debut video, I'm someone who plays a lot of video games and tries to play as many new ones as I possibly can. So for me to not only stick with this game since launch, but to play it every single day for a full year is a testament to how much I adore this game. There are a lot of things that I like about this game, including the character writing, the humorous and very poignant storytelling, the absolutely incredible music. All of it is combined with gameplay that I think is just challenging enough to be engaging, but simple enough to easily grasp. To put it lightly, I am a little obsessed with this game. If you have ever wanted to know more about Blue Archive, or you just want to hear gameplay advice from someone who has sunk a lot of time into this game, including being max level and having all the platinum trophies and a bunch of 5-star characters, then hang out with me for a while as I take you through 1 year of Blue Archive and everything that I've learned along the way. Alrighty, so let's get into a little bit of history about the game. I think this is going to help a little bit just with explaining not just the game premise, but also a little bit about how the game was produced and then released to the world here. So the game actually first launched as a Japanese exclusive on February 4th, 2021, and then it became a global release on November 8th, 2021. Now, the relevance of bringing this up is that there are technically 2 Blue Archives. There is still the Japanese version, which is a couple of months ahead of the global release. And what this means on a practical level is that if you are a global player, you kind of have a roadmap for what the entire, game is going to be. Which, let me tell you, is kind of amazing as a global player. We get to reap the benefits of getting to see what future banners are going to be and what future characters and storylines will hit us. So that is absolutely fantastic. I definitely don't go out of my way to go and see what the plot is, because I like to be surprised by that, but yeah, check out future banners just to see who's coming next, because I like planning for that, so that's pretty cool. So the game itself is set in Kivotos, which is also called the Academy City. I would say calling it a city feels a little disingenuous though, because this place is absolutely gigantic. We're talking, it would take you several months just to bicycle across this place. It's kind of cool because you can definitely see the inspiration for this game coming from the city of Seoul, which makes sense since the creators of this game are based in South Korea. But man, they did go crazy with the size of this place. It has different biomes, there are different landscapes here, there is so much that is inside of the city. I'd honestly think it's probably better to think of it as like a small country as opposed to a city, but to each their own. Technically, there are a ton of schools that are here, and the largest residency that is in this city is with students. So I think it is still fair to call it the Academy City as a result, even if it is absolutely gigantic. So speaking of the city's residents, as I mentioned before, it's primarily comprised of students who are going to school here, living in dorms. There's a ton of different academies that we're all going to get into here in a little bit. But there are also what I'm going to call normal citizens. And these primarily consist of these adorable little animal people. They are dogs or cats, and I love them. They are so cute. And then there are also actual factual AI robots that are just manning stores and trying to sell you fantasy cryptocurrency, so the writers of this game have so much fun with the different plot lines and characters. I kind of love it. So, as I mentioned before, there are a ton of schools that are in this city, but these are the main players. Now, this might seem like a lot if you're brand new to the game, but just stick with me. I'm gonna explain all of these, and I'm gonna try to make them make sense, because I really like the flavor of them, and I think it's cool. So, anyway, a little bit more about the city itself. So, something that you might have noticed is that all of the students have halos. They are all unique too, which is pretty cool. About those halos. The halos protect the students. So let's say if they get injured in some way or shot at with a gun, they don't really take a lot of damage from that. It might like hurt a little bit, but they're not going to die, which is good because the students here tend to be very combative, as you might have noticed. So of the students, there's kind of 3 categories that I'd like to group them into. So you have students who have animal characteristics. So this could be like ears and a tail. This could be horns. This could be wings. Alas, there are no snake or reptilian girls in this game, but you know, I can dream, right? I have my little halo too. Anyway, you also have what I'm going to call Fae students. These are the students who have these very pointed ears, and they might have more elven qualities, or they might have imp-like or demon qualities, but they all kind of fall into this category here. And then you have the humanoid category, which to the an untrained eye would seem very human, right? Except for the halo, but I am not going to call them human because you know what? There's some things about those halos that I don't think that normal people can do, like getting shot with bullets and not really taking much damage from that. Nope, I don't think that they're human. So I'm just gonna call them humanoid. Alright, so another kind of weird thing about this Academy City is that there are no teachers here. Instead, you just have a lot of self-teaching modules instead. So the students learn from things like Blu-rays or technical books, things like that. But they all do this in kind of a weird self-study way, but there's still tests that are administered by the school, and you're already probably getting the impression that there's some very strange dystopian vibes that are going on with this place. And that's good. That's a good instinct to have. Because here's the thing. You, as the player character, are a teacher, and you have been summoned to this place with students who shoot at each other with guns on the regular, but you do not have a halo. You will die if you get shot with a gun. But you have still been summoned here by this very mysterious General Student Council President, which again, because this city is kind of like a small country, the General Student Council President you can pretty much consider as the president of this small academy country. She has summoned you here with this very mysterious task to save Kivotos from its current twisted fate, which is very ominous. And then she immediately goes missing. So you were just completely on your own with no like idea what you were supposed to do to help these students, but man, you were going to try. So the main home base that you have been, again, very mysteriously given is called Chalet. It is your own multi-level building which has a ton of resources. You can summon helicopters. You can reach out to students of different schools in order to get their help on things. You can form clubs. You can buy a bunch of resources. This place is crazy. It also comes with this handy dandy tablet, which is a little Wink wink to the player base who is playing this on a mobile phone or a tablet, but you get a fun little tablet, and it has the best mascot character on it. I love Arona so much. She is so dang cute. It is not even funny. You can interact with her in the game, and she will say your name, which is so cute. You can go and you can pat her little head, and she'll give you advice for different things. But anyway, I love her so much. She is the best. So you and Arona are tasked with trying to help Kivotos in some very mysterious way. So in order to do this, you end up familiarizing yourself with the different schools that are here. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking to you about them because I love all of the different schools and could spend so much time talking about all this. But let me just kind of summarize this pretty quick. So the three really big players are the biggest schools in Kivotos, which is Trinity, Gehenna, and Millennium. So these different schools have kind of different flavors to them. Gehenna is the place where a lot of the Fae students are, so particularly the ones that are very demonoid in look. So they have a pretty bad reputation of being a ton of troublemakers who are always going around causing a lot of issues in Kivotos. Whereas Trinity is kind of the more like refined rich girl Ojo-sama school, which has its own sisterhood, and it's got just like a very prestigious health clinic and just a lot of other stuff. As you might imagine, Gehenna and Trinity don't get along very well, which is so sad because I love so many of the students at both of these places. Millennium is actually kind of a newcomer. Gehenna and Trinity are kind of like the OG schools of this city, but Millennium is kind of newer, and they are the science tech school. So like all of the people who are making a ton of inventions and actually be good at coding and weapon creation and a lot of other things that are relevant in this city. A lot of them go to Millennium. So I've got a couple of different examples of different students from these schools just to kind of show you here. So in addition to these three big schools, we've got a couple others that are relevant to the game. You have Abydos, which is a very, very unfortunate school. These poor guys have slowly been succumbing to desertification, which essentially means that their entire sector of this city is slowly being reclaimed by the sand at a very unnatural rate. There's not a whole lot that's actually in this district anymore. And in fact, the school itself only has 5 students that are currently enrolled. They are all extremely charming. Shiroko, who is the wolf girl here, is the like kind of brand girl for the entire game, and she is just fantastic. She's got an amazing dry sense of humor and is just delightful. Hoshino below her is also good, but you know what? I'm gonna stop name dropping all these characters because I'm just gonna go off on a tangent about them. You want to hear about the rest of this video, so I'm gonna move on. All right, so Red Winter is actually a really big school land-wise. Like they have a ton of land that belongs to them, but they are not a big school, if that makes sense. So they are out in the mountains. It is very snowy there pretty much all the time. Like even parts of the year when you would imagine it would not be snowy, there is still snow that is up there. Rather tragically, they are the case study in the game of a failed communist state that is instead very authoritarian. So, you know, that's sad. Their dictator-in-chief is featured here, Cherino. She is, very cute. I don't really have much else to say about her, and her, like, second-in-command is featured below. But the school itself is pretty cool, and you have some really fun events that are featured there, and I like it a lot. Besides that, you have Shanghai Jing, which is definitely Chinese inspired. So as far as like the school itself and the students, they all focus pretty heavily on tourism. But there's also like an elementary school there that a lot of the students help out with, just being like substitute teachers and things like that. There's also a pretty robust laboratory that is at this school. So yeah, really cool. I hope that we get more events here in the future, because so far we've only really visited this place once in one event. So I hope that we get to come back at some point, because I thought that event was really fun. And then we have Hyakyako, which is the Japanese-inspired school. So these students focus so heavily on festivals. It is crazy. The first time that you really get to meet them is a festival event for cherry blossoms. And there is a pretty big cast, actually, at this point that is from Hyakyako. So yeah, there's a lot of animal-themed characters here, but you can also see Chisei. She's kind of like an Oni Fae character. And it is just gorgeous. All of the backgrounds that I am showing you for the different schools are taken directly from the game. Like, this game's art assets are insane. It is so gorgeous, and I know I am an art person, so maybe I'm biased, but damn, this stuff looks so good. I absolutely love it. So the last two schools I'm going to highlight are kind of newer in the plot, so I won't spend too much time talking about them, particularly SRT, since that's actually the patch that's about to hit on the anniversary. But I'll spend a little bit of time just mentioning them. So Valkyrie is the police academy, and they are very incompetent, to say the least. That's all I'm gonna say about that, but some based takes, in my opinion, from the writers here. The SRT Academy, I'm not gonna spend too much time talking about, because again, they are going to be featured soon, but just know that they feature a lot of kind of more skilled sniper and combat characters, and they have some very tragic things that have happened to them. So anyway, yeah, that's kind of all of the schools that are relevant, and I don't have any more to talk about. Oh god. Okay. Yep, we're moving on. Moving on. Not going to talk about other very mysterious important schools because I don't want to spoil the plot. Alrighty. So, let's talk about the game and the gameplay itself. So, the actual game is half visual novel and half tactical combat with these adorable little chibi representations of the characters. Oh my god, they are so cute. I cannot get over it. In addition to being artistically gorgeous, the visual novel story is downright hilarious. There are so many genuinely hysterical moments throughout this game, both in the main story and in character side stories. I have laughed so hard at the spectacularly timed jokes and absurdly funny moments that this game has given me. But the story writers also know how to pull back to the game's heartfelt core. In between these moments of mirth is surprisingly poignant storytelling, focusing on heart-wrenching moments of despair, survival, and hope in the face of nigh unwinnable odds. Good character writing and storytelling is pretty important to me as a player, and this game has it in spades. Even the side stories and character backstories are a delight to play. So, as an example, let me explain one of the game mechanics a bit. So, in Blue Archive, you can increase friendship with characters by giving them gifts and interacting with them at the in-game cafe. And they'll send you adorable text messages through this Momotalk app, which is all in the game. They're just kind of simulating text messages, which is pretty cute. And it gives you an opportunity to learn more about the different characters. So the Momotalk messages alone can be absolutely hysterical. But the added story for every character really helps to flesh out the cast and endears you to a huge range of characters. Plus, for most characters, you get these gorgeous live 2D animations when you befriend them. Like, whoa, just look at this! I hope that whoever made these is getting paid well because, oh my god, they are so good! This is amazing! You can actually set these so they will greet you whenever you log into the game, and I sometimes struggle to decide which one I'm going to have because there are so many. They let you set 5 of these, and I wish they let you set more because I would just cycle through all of them. That would be great. So I also like that the game incentivizes you to raise friendship with characters because it gives you stat buffs to characters that you befriend, which is awesome, as well as gacha currency, which you can save up and spend to get more characters later on, but we're gonna talk about the gacha system later, since I think it merits its own section. As a side note, in that cafe where you can increase friendship with different students, can also place furniture that different students will interact with, and it is so goddamn adorable. I cannot stand it. So, although not all of the game is voice acted, which is a little tragic, the parts that are, like the live 2D, as well as interacting with students in the cafe or running actual combat missions, the voice acting is spectacular. Even with such a huge cast of characters, I have consistently loved the performances of the voice actresses involved and love how they've embodied the characters. And hopefully, if I've been lucky enough, you'll be hearing the Blue Archive soundtrack throughout this video, which is just a delight to listen to. I've seen a lot of people say that the music was a huge draw for them playing this game, and man, if that isn't the truth. If I'm not able to feature it here, please go and listen to it on YouTube because it's amazing. They've actually got a really awesome concert on the Blue Archive YouTube channel where they talk about the production of the music for this game while highlighting some really impressive remixes of some songs. You should definitely go listen to it even if you were not interested in the game. So, speaking of official Blue Archive media, they also post supplementary stories as 4-Coma comics. They post these on Twitter, and they are delightful. The artist who they've hired to make these, they do such an incredible job. I, again, hope that they are being very well compensated for just being a delightful addition to this entire game. Alrighty, so the story is half of the game, and I absolutely love it. But let's talk about the other half, which is the interactive combat. So, the gameplay portion here is going to be pretty simplified. It was actually going to be a lot more detailed, and I filmed all of that, and it ended up being really long. So I think that merits its own video, so look forward to that. So for a variety of story and challenge missions, you select a team of 6 students. 4 of these students are going to be on the front lines. They are called strikers, and 2 will be on the back line. They are referred to as special students. So the strikers will be on the front lines attacking the enemy. The 2 special characters are going to be in your reserve. The combat works like rock, paper, scissors. So the enemy's defense weakness will be displayed above their heads, which is very nice and convenient. And the student's attack type will be displayed down here in their active skill section. So it's essentially color matching, which is awesome. There's also this super handy chart that goes over this. All damage dealers and strikers automatically have like an auto attack that they'll just be doing, which is great. So even if you aren't doing anything, they're still going to be attacking the enemy. But don't go thinking that you can just let this be an auto battler, because you do actually have to select these EX skills, which you can kind of think of as a student's ultimate move. So this tends to be a very powerful move that can do a variety of things. So it could do a ton of damage in, you know, like a circle, or it could hit one enemy super hard, or it could massively debuff an enemy. Like, there's a ton of stuff that these EX skills do. An additional fun aspect of EX skills is that they all come with these adorable animations. Oh my gosh, the team that put these together, I have to imagine, put so much work into this. They've listened to some developer talks just as far as like what all they had to do just to make these work, and it sounds like this was a tremendous amount of work just to get all of these to be super adorable and unique. So massive kudos to the people who had to program these. Also, before I forget, look at this. You can even pick them up in the screen where you're selecting characters, and they have personalized animations. Oh my god, it's so cute. I can't get over it. Okay, moving on. So, managing your EX skills and carefully deciding where they're going to activate and when they're going to activate is kind of the main challenge of the game. And I love it. I'm someone who really dislikes auto battlers, since I feel like if I'm going to spend the time playing something, I want my decisions to actually mean something. So this game kind of has my number. The students in this game are divided into different star rankings. So you have 3 stars, 2 stars, and 1 star students. All of these students can be brought up to higher star levels, so like you can go from 1 star to 2 star, 2 to 3, etc. The maximum star ranking any student can reach is a 5-star student, which unlocks a super dope character-specific weapon that you can upgrade. So logic would normally dictate that 3 stars are the best and 2 and 1 stars are kind of mid, right? Well, here's the thing. In this game, character star ranking is just a matter of stats and which skills you have unlocked when you first get a character. Even 1-star characters will always have their EX skill and one of their passive skills unlocked. And then if you raise them up to a 2-star, they'll get another skill, and 3-star, they'll get another. Kind of what I'm getting to is that there are 1-star characters in this game that are used at the highest level of the game. The fact that 1 stars are good enough that the top level players are using them, I think should tell you that this game is very flexible with its power levels, and it is not a bad thing to get 1 and 2 stars, which I think is fantastic. Once you have a single copy of a character, all that you need to increase their star ranking so that they get more of their skills and they get some stat increases is this item, which is called an Elif. You get these every single time you roll for a new character, but you can also get them from events, you can get them from hard missions, or you can get them from Total Assault. So generic Elifs that don't have anyone's face on them come by the truckload when you roll for characters, and you can exchange them for character-specific Elifs that actually have their faces on them, and you can do that here in this shop, which is just fantastic. So what I am trying to get across is that it is very easy to level up a 1-star to a 2-star. You only need 30 Elifs to make a 2-star character from a 1-star. And then from there to get up to a 3-star, you only need 80 Elifs, which is really accomplishable. To be perfectly honest, there are diminishing returns when making a character a 4 or a 5-star, since you don't unlock any new skills and it's just pure stat increases, which is really nice because it means that you're not incentivized to go crazy leveling up a character. Like, once you've got them to a 3-star, you're set. Obviously, like, getting a character up to a 5-star is going to be like the pinnacle of their strength, but wow, that actually does get expensive. So it's not something you have to do. It's just an optional thing if you have a lot of Elifs for them. I have spent a lot of time talking about why I adore this game, but there are a few key things that I think merit some more critical discussion, so I want to talk about those before I get too much further here. So the first main criticism that I have for Blue Archive is, like much anime adjacent media, it falls victim to over-sexualizing some of its characters. By and large, the main story does a pretty good job dealing with this, but when you get down to some of the characters' side stories, and especially the live 2D, can get a little uncomfortable. And I am saying this as a snake lady who is very bi. The biggest offenders are the CNC Club and the Prefect team by far. So I bring this up as an issue not just because it breaks the narrative at times in favor of fan service, but I also think it distorts the discourse of the game in some online spaces into waifuification and sexualization of the cast, which I think is kind of tragic. If you've taken anything away from my discussion of this game so far, I hope it's that the game is really impressive on a narrative and technical level, and that viewing it as a waifu simulator is woefully reductive. And before you type out that comment about how I'm just a dirty feminist out here trying to ruin your fun, first of all, I think I have fairly decent hygiene. And two, yes, I do participate in waifuification in other forums, and yes, my waifu is Mao from Maoyu, because who doesn't like an intelligent, sexy demon lord? And finally, biggest and most comprehensive criticism that I have of the game is the gacha system. So for those unfamiliar with the term, gacha refers to games that do not provide prices for content, but rather sell you chances to acquire content probabilistically. I open with this because these systems are similar to and employ similar psychology to gambling. You should know that this is similar to gambling because it's important to engage with it carefully as a result. There's a reason why gambling can be so addictive. It is very fun. There is a huge rush that people get when they win something randomly, and it can drag you into a cycle of wanting to experience that rush again and again. Gacha games are the most easily recognizable example of this, but you should know that gambling psychology is very common in a lot of games, and I am not just referring to loot boxes. Any game that locks some of its content behind a randomized loot system is employing this psychological effect. Many RPGs employ this on a very basic level. So think like randomized drops in WoW, or like a variety of other games. Even more broadly though, trading card games like Magic the Gathering, which I'd argue most people don't really think of as a gambling game, they employ this heavily in how you get cards in the first place. A randomized pack with one guaranteed rare, but there is no guarantee on which rare you'll get or how good it will be. It's a gamble. I bring this up not to detract from the danger of gambling, in fact, quite the opposite. Gambling psychology has been woven into a lot of games that we play and media that we consume, often on a more subconscious level than we might realize. And it's helped to normalize it for a wide range of media, not just within the gacha realm. Having the knowledge that gambling is pervasive in games and understanding that our brains react positively to gambling is crucial for engaging with these games in a critical way. In particular, it can better inform you for which games A, employ it heavily, B, employ it in bad faith, and C, employ it to drain your funds. For the purposes of this video, I'll primarily be focusing on sections A and B, so games that employ gambling psychology heavily, and how to tell how much in bad faith they are doing this. But if you're interested in looking into games that employ this not only in bad faith, but to drain your funds, as I was editing this video, actually yesterday, people make games who are absolutely fantastic games journalists. They put out a video on gambling. literal actual gambling that is going on using Steam games in the associated communities. So I'll put a link to this video here, but you should absolutely go check that out. It is absolutely wild that that is happening and is almost definitely not legal. But anyway, back to gacha games, which are gonna primarily fall into our first two categories here. The primary gacha system in Blue Archive is found on this recruit page, where you can exchange in-game currency called pyroxene for randomized character polls. The rates that you obtain different students is as follows. You have a 79% rate of getting a 1-star student, you have an 18.5% rate of getting a 2-star, and you have a 2.5% of hitting a 3-star. The limited banner will always feature a 3-star character with an increased rate of 0.7%, which is very low. You can already see that this is definitely a gamble if you're going to get this character. That being said, because there is a 2.5% chance that any roll you make will yield like a 3-star period, what this works out to is that every time you get a 3-star on a roll, you have a 28% chance of it being the featured character. So that's 0.7 divided by 2.5. So every 10 polls, you are guaranteed to receive a 2-star student. And every 200 polls, you can select which featured 3-star character you would like. So if you don't get the character within 200 polls, you can get it, but that's quite a few polls you have to get to actually get to that point. So this system that lets you select which character you want after a certain amount of rolls is called a pity system in the gacha world. You can kind of think of it as the system is literally giving you a pity poll to grab whichever character you'd like. You've been so unlucky that at the very end it's like, well, you've pulled enough, you can actually get the character now. Many other gacha systems implement something like this. Some notable ones are Genshin Impact, Precon, and Arknights, although some large gachas actually did not have a pity system for many years. Looking at you, FGO. So getting back to Blue Archive. So in order to reach pity in Blue Archive and guarantee that you get the featured character at 200 polls, you are going to need 24,000 pyroxene. Like all gacha, pyroxene can be purchased using real money. Buying pyroxene with your real ass money is absolutely the thing that gachas want you to do. But it is a terrible value proposition. The highest amount of pyroxene that you can buy is 4,800 for 65 US dollars. That would mean that in order to get the amount to guarantee a character, which again is 24,000, you would need to buy 5 of these 4,800 packs, which works out to $325. Realistically, gacha games don't anticipate that you, as an average user, are going to be doing this. What they want you to be doing is get close to guaranteeing a character, but not quite have enough to make it all the way there, and then you go and purchase a pack. Do not do this. Do not do this. This is exactly how predatory gacha games work. Now, I want to make something very clear here. I am not saying that Blue Archive is predatory. I actually think, and we'll get into this quite a bit in just a moment here, I do think that Blue Archive not only tries to fight back against this mentality through its gameplay rewards, as well as how it incentivizes players to interact with this gacha system. And spoiler alert, they actually don't want you interacting with the gacha a lot, which is already a good sign. But the reason that I'm bringing this up is because this shop still exists in the game. And I think that it is well worth the warning and the very firm rebuttal from me to say, do not buy these packs. There are a variety of reasons why you should not do it. the least of which is that it is bred from a bad, predatory gacha market. The only financial purchase that I think is even remotely safe or reasonable to make in a game like this is the monthly pass. And this, again, has some caveats. It's not just if you want to support the game financially. That's great if you enjoy the game and you want to give something back while getting something in return, but only if you have the money for that. If you are someone, especially someone young or in a financially insecure position, the beauty of something like this being a mobile game is it is free to play. Do not sink money into it. You do not need to do that. I am a grown snake lady in my late 20s with a real ass job, and I like supporting media that I enjoy. So I do buy the monthly pass, but I really want to stress that you should not be exchanging your real life money for pyroxene packs. The math just does not work out like that. So, whether you are someone who has purchased the monthly pass or is completely free to play, the way that you are going to gather pyroxene is going to be the same. At the time of writing, the average amount of pyroxene you can obtain by playing the game every day for a month ranges from about 11,250, which works out to 93 pulls at lower levels of the game. And you can go all the way up to about 13,870, which is 114 pulls at higher levels. Which means that after a month of playing, you'll have about half of what you'll need to guarantee a character, all for free. Obviously, if you purchase a monthly pass, that number increases quite a bit, but I'm only giving the free-to-play numbers since it's a good way of gauging how generous a game's economy is. At the risk of causing a lot of people to be very upset at me, I am going to compare this to how long it would take to reach an equivalent amount of gacha currency in Genshin Impact, the largest and most popular gacha on the planet. I have played Genshin extensively. The world, the characters, the music is all fantastic. But I do think that their gacha system leaves a lot to be desired. In particular, if you were going to try to grind to an equivalent level of Prima Gems, which is the gacha currency in Genshin Impact, you would have to spend, on average, 5 months. If you are someone who is grinding away through the abyss every single time, your amount of time in order to get the amount of Prima Gems you need is considerably better, but that's just not most players. And as a result, I do feel like when I was playing Genshin, I was rubbing up against that gacha system a lot more. It was always in the back of my mind whenever I was running missions as far as, well, is this a really good, efficient use of my time? What if I went and did this thing instead? Would I get more Prima Gems by doing this? And I feel like that takes away from how much fun and how beautiful that game is. As opposed to Blue Archive, which now I have played for a year. And in addition to being able to get characters off of the gacha system, they have multiple different ways for me to get characters. I don't even have to roll. I can pick up characters from events. I can pick up 1, 2, and 3-star characters from running hard missions. They just literally today put in, for the 1-year anniversary, a system where you can go run your missions like you usually do, and then you can exchange this new currency just in-game for limited characters who might not show up when you do rolls. At the end of the day, my enjoyment of the game and my ability to really sink into the world and enjoy myself and really get invested is entirely dependent on how much I am rubbing up against that gacha system. If you like Genshin, please keep playing Genshin. If you have gained anything from watching this video, I hope it's that you can demand better and that your time and devotion should and can be better rewarded. If this tiny gacha can reward its player base like this, the biggest gacha on the planet can do better for its passionate and devoted player base. Blue Archive's global anniversary is today. And in addition to preparing Pyroxene gifts, they have also sent artifact and equipment gifts. They are also increasing the 3-star gacha rate from 2.5 to 3%. The love that the developers show for this game and the written story, the character animations, the story moments, the little details of gameplay is heavily apparent, and feeling the time and love that we as players have sunk into this game be rewarded is equally fantastic. The Blue Archive has a special place in my heart, and I hope it will continue to be an excellent game in the years to come. A few final words for those of you who have made it this far. First, wow! Hi! Thank you for watching this video. Holy cow, you listened to me talk about all that math and you're still here? Thank you for sticking around until the end. I really appreciate it. My main mission with making this video was to show my full appreciation for Blue Archive as it reaches its 1-year anniversary, and I really hope it continues to stay strong heading into another year. If you've come away from this video with more knowledge about the game, its world, and gacha systems in general, then that's worth the time that I put into making this. For anyone who is already playing the game, or if for some reason listening to me ramble about this game has made you want to try it, which, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to like convince people to play this game. It probably came across like that. I just get really passionate about this stuff. I don't know. If you decide you're gonna play the game, I actually, in the process of making this video, ended up filming a ton of gameplay footage and some voiceover for that, with the thought that I could maybe make a how to play Blue Archive video from someone who sunk a lot of hours into it, but this video ended up taking me quite a bit of time to put together. And I don't think I'm going to have that video out, at least for a couple of days. So if you do want to get into the game, but you don't want to wait for that, which, you know, totally understandable, you should go check out this website. I found this while I was doing some research on this video, just double checking rates and things like that. And they do some fantastic beginner guides. I was blown away. Their infographics are absolutely fantastic. It makes me kind of jealous. I want to know what they use to make those. They look so good. Besides that, you should definitely check out Valiant. He is my favorite Blue Archive content creator and just makes fantastic videos. He's definitely more on the, I would say, hardcore side of the spectrum. So don't feel like if he makes certain claims about which characters are meta or not, that should impact your ability to, you know, go after different characters. Play the game the way that you want to play it. That is the whole point. I hope that has come across. One other point just before this video wraps up, because it's already really long anyway. If you do end up starting to play, my general rule is that if you're ever going to make a pull, you should make sure you have at least 24,000 pyroxene. That being said, if you're brand new to the game, obviously it's going to take a really long time for you to get to that point, and you need characters. So depending on how much you're given when you first start as a new player, I'd say making anywhere from 10 to 40 pulls, so about like up to 4,800 pyroxene, is a pretty safe bet, just to get yourself a couple of different characters to play with, and then you can start saving from there for the next banner. So yeah, thank you so much for coming to watch this video. It means a lot to me that you got this far and that you care at least enough about learning about this to listen to me ramble for all of this time. So in the meantime, I'm gonna go see where Chibi Noko has gone off to. I'm pretty sure that she has gone to find Bear, who is making some bread right now, and she's going to eat it all before I get there, so I am going to take off and go hang out with them here. In the meantime, you have a good rest of your day. Bye.